No, I agree. Did we ever discuss having kids?
I think there's been conversations around it, right?
I feel like other people ask. We don't really
exactly. I feel like when we go and we meet people, or I'm introducing you to some of my friends, or you introduce me to some of your friends, I feel like it gets brought up. But I don't feel like we've ever had a one-on-one private conversation about having children.
Yeah.
Have we?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Not a serious one, at least.
It's one of those things where like time will tell, you know?
For sure. I feel like we've been together how long now?
Like almost a year. Not a year, maybe close.
It's like going on 9 months.
No, it's more than that.
Is it?
I think so. I don't know. We're just living our lives, you guys.
It's like,
I don't know.
I don't know. It's true.
I don't
It's
know.
almost a year. We'll say almost a year.
I do feel like I'm happy because I have 4 kids, and I feel like you don't have kids. So basically, it would be like a question for you, because I'm really fulfilled with my 4 children. I don't feel like.
Well, and I think that's something that goes unsaid with dating and, you know, having an age gap. Sometimes if the man is older, he might have kids. If the woman's older, she might have kids. And so for me, I don't know. I've always viewed Trophy Room, my boutique, as my baby, you know? And so I was always I was always of the mindset that, you know, I wanted to establish my own name outside of being Michael Jordan's son. And so for me, Trophy Room gave me that opportunity as my business. And so I've always nurtured it and treated it as my child. And, you know, obviously that's not the same as having an actual baby, but it's occupied all of my time and
you put all your energy into that.
Exactly. And so having a child was always so far out of my mind frame that, you know, I always like to joke, and you've heard me say it before. I've made it 32 years. I'm trying to keep the streak going, but you know, there's definitely thoughts that I'm having around: is it a possibility? How soon? How, you know?
But just so you know, like time is clicking.
Oh, I know.
It's ticking and clicking.
Ticking and clicking.
I don't know. I feel like I have 4 kids, but I love being a mom, and I feel like I would be open to having maybe like one more child.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. I feel like I would be open to it. I feel like my sister having her little kids makes me feel like, oh, I wish our kids were closer in age.
Yeah. Well, and my sister has a baby.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so my nephew. And so I'm always around, you know, my nephew. And sometimes I get baby fever. I'm not going to lie. It's something that I think we'll have to discuss down the road at some point. And so when do you think that conversation needs to happen? Is there a break point where it's like, all right, we haven't talked about kids, so let's scrap that out the window? I
mean, that's on you. I have a few, but if you decide you want to have, you know, a little Marquisio, then we can discuss that.
It needs to be sooner rather than later.
I think when you're with someone, you kind of like, from the beginning, you kind of set like, you know, what you're looking for. And I feel like you and I were always like, when we first started dating, I feel like we knew that it was going to be like serious based on like who we were and where we were in life.
Right.
I feel like maybe after like the year mark, then you start like, you know, questioning things.
I feel like we both have different cultural backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like in my background, being that I played in sports and obviously coming from an affluent family, I never really put as much emphasis on starting a family young. As I feel I feel like in your culture, it might be a little bit different. And with your family history, you know.
Yeah, I feel like with my culture,
you had your first child at 21. No,
I got
23.
married. Yeah, I got married at 21. But I had like 4 kids. I had 3 kids by the time I was like 30. I think I had Sophie at like 31 or 32 or something.
Yeah.
But I do feel like culturally, like Middle Eastern women, like we do kind of like want to get married, have a family. Like that to us is like the number one priority. Like I don't ever view like seeing someone, like dating someone just to date them and like wasting my time. And I know it's not like wasting time, but for me culturally, like my mom taught us that like if you were going to be with someone, you're building a family with them, you're building a life with them, and you put all your eggs in that one basket. So I feel like for me, that's kind of like how I grew up.
Yeah. And I feel like I grew up the opposite. I feel like my mom and my dad were always like, you know, have fun, you're young, you know, go explore, etc. And so, you know, I'm coming out of that mind frame as I'm starting to mature and get a little older. So, you know, time will tell. Like you said,
I feel like you've got a little bit of time. I already know you'd be an amazing dad. But like, what kind of dad would you be? Would you be like a strict dad?
I feel like, you know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
Right. And I had very strict parents, and my upbringing was, you know, was unique. And so I definitely feel like I would be a very hands-on parent. You know, I'm overly involved in whatever it is that I do. And
you really are.
You know, I just think, I don't know. But I do like the relationship that you have with your kids, where I feel like you guys are each other's best friends and you talk every day. And so I feel like that, would be a similar parenting style that I would like to have.
I love when you give me advice, like when I'm trying to give Sophie advice and you chime in, because I feel like I could never be with someone that would give me bad advice for my kids. And I feel like I really value the advice that you give me when we're talking to like my kids, or like if something happens, like Sophie has a problem with someone at school or whatever it is, like little girl problems that you have at 14.
Yeah.
And I feel like your advice is always like on point.
Well, obviously I try to let you, put your motherly spin on things first, and then I like to chime in from a satellite parent.
You're going to be like a great, if you want to have kids, you'd be like a great dad.
I appreciate that, baby.
You're like a cutie.
Thank you.
I feel like we have so much to talk about today.
Yeah, I know. We're just getting started.